I've often wondered if Chiro's human preoccupation for such frivolous play would spread to the others, Gibson. Of course, I realize that your scientific mind would never bother with such trivialities.
That's right.
Rolling around at the speed of sound. Got faces to go, gotta follow my rainbow.
Episode 9 starts with the monkey team fighting this monster that Skeleton King sent. Skeleton King gets bored watching them have trouble defeating the monster, so he destroys it himself because he was just testing them, I guess? I mean, dude, you had them cornered.
So much for mouth, Tor.
Mouth Tor? Really, Otto, must you give every creature we engage a ridiculous name?
I mean, he's never done this before, and will never do it again after this episode, but yes, that is something Otto always does. Having saved the day as far as they know, the team heads back home for some rest and relaxation. As was mentioned before, and will probably be mentioned again eventually, all the graphics on the Super Robot's mainframe are really old-looking. Shugazoo must have this thing for retro design, that's all I can figure out.
Watch the teeth. Go!
You could never hover like that on a wing. The aerodynamics are all wrong.
Excuse me? I spent like half of last episode defending you, and now you're trying to take my job? One of my favorite things about this episode is Shiro managing to lasso almost everyone on the team into playing video games with him.
No offense, but I'm not really into kids stuff.
Right. Besides, Shigoken Robo Beast Wrangler isn't the game for beginners. You need expert pilot skills.
Give me the controller.
Antari comments that the team is behind on patrol, and Shiro points out that it'd be nice if there was anything besides the monkey team protecting the city. I mean, he's got a point, guys. I mean, when Shiro asks if they have to do everything, he's not kidding. So far, we have never seen any hint of a Shugazumian police force or anything along those lines to take care of smaller issues. Of course, with the rest of Shugazoom being a bunch of crybabies, Shiro suggests an automated defense system instead. This leads to Otto building one, while Gibson acts superior and salty as all get out.
A truly impenetrable defense system would be extremely difficult to produce. It would require a state-of-the-art threat identifier. Well, protecting an entire city would demand monumental advances in troposphere technology. So please, that is an extreme oversimplification of an infinitely complex invention.
It seems very unwise to trust our duties to a machine.
Irony. The team gets the defense system set up, and I would like to point out that Gibson did next to nothing here, okay? All Gibson did was say it had to be high-tech and involve a bubble. Otto did like 99% of the work here. Up to and including inventing and building reversible rockets, because those are a thing.
Just testing it.
System deactivated.
The aerodynamics are all wrong.
Skeleton King, seeing that the Hyperforce appears to be growing complacent, decides now is the perfect time to attack, and oh boy, here we go. Let's take a careful look at this scene. Otto manually activates the defense system. The monkey team observes carefully as the threat system takes out what appears to be all of the threats, including using a shield manually to make sure that the last of them are taken out. It's also important to note that the monkey team has always used the computer to help it detect threats. Yes, the threat detector misses a few of the asteroids, but so does their usual detecting system. Unless the monkey team had happened to be out on patrol right at that moment, they would have missed this anyway. The stray asteroids mutate some animals around the city. We also get some foreshadowing for what is definitely the most important episode of Monkey Team ever.
Head.
The team is chilling out because there's not a threat detected, just like they were before they had the defense system installed, until Antari tells them it'd be a good time to take a break, only for them to wind up at the arcade. But then, okay, just watch this.
That's the major threat alarm.
A machine.
The Super Robot scanners have detected multiple threats inside the city perimeter.
Also
No
a machine.
way. The defense system should have taken care of them.
A
Perhaps
different
there's been a
machine.
minor
Bad
malfunction.
machine.
Great Caesar's Ghost! We have a triple creature threat in progress!
Which you
That
just
is
detected
one
using
major
a machine!
malfunction. One is assaulting the promenade, another the park, and the third downtown.
According
So
to
let's
a
split up and
machine.
get 'em.
Do you guys see my problem with this? The defense system is treated like it's going to make the team lazy, but the monkey team has always used machines. They're not patrolling 24/7, 365. They have lives outside of that. They're allowed to relax for 5 minutes. They use a machine to keep track of the city all the time. Heck, if Skeleton King had just sent in those 3 little asteroids in the first place, they wouldn't have noticed them to begin with, because the super robot didn't detect them. The super robot only noticed them once they'd become full-fledged monsters. So yeah, the monkey team fights these 3 monsters, Sparks and Nova hug, and hey, the defense system actually saves everyone's lives!
So it's settled. Tomorrow we dismantle the defense system.
But it worked perfectly.
But we did not. We relied on it and lost our edge.
But you didn't! The robot failed to detect the threat, which it would have anyway. Unless you'd happened to be on patrol at the exact right moment, you guys still would have missed those 3 little asteroids. This episode's attempt at a moral makes no sense!
Otto?
At least we captured those monsters for Gibson to analyze.
So Gibson pulls a stupid and we wind up with Flytor. Otto reactivates the defense system even though we already learned our lesson. The bad machine doesn't work, so Chiro decides it's time to use the good machine. But then the bad machine hurts the good machine, and so the team actually does have to fight without using any machines. Oh. Okay. Yes? I mean, this episode is such a hot mess at this point. I'm not sure what to say about its attempt at a moral anymore. Let's just move on. The monkey team has this cool fight with Flytor, Skeleton King manages to get this nifty scan of Chiro, and everyone flies off on an aerodynamically incorrect wing into the sunset. Hooray! This is the worst episode of the season. To be fair, worst episode of the season doesn't mean worst episode ever. There are things I like about Flytor. I like that it's another episode where we get to see how Chiro impacts the monkeys with his presence. I like that we get lots of little interactions between the monkey team members outside of Chiro in this episode.
I can and I will, Sparky.
Don't call me that.
I like that the episode sets up for other later episodes. It's just Flytor really focuses heavily on the man versus machine aspect, and it doesn't do a good job of it, which is especially frustrating because in later seasons the same topic is handled in really interesting ways. Flytor has some really cute moments, but going back and watching it again with a critical eye, it's just a really frustrating episode overall. It was the first time the series explored a theme that became very critical as the series went on, and it just did not do a good job at all.
My defense system?
Gibson, you did like 1% of the work on that thing, if I'm being generous. I can't wait till later seasons when you and Otto are good enough friends that he starts sassing you about this kind of junk.
I invented the piano key necktie! I invented it! What have you done, Derek? Nothing! You've done nothing!
Okay, last week's comment section. Dude, I love the comment section because we get into all these really interesting conversations, like, Casey Reviews commented on how the monkey team being more detached might have impacted the way Mandarin wound up. I kind of feel more like Mandarin influenced the monkey team than the other way around, but the thing about Chiro being the chosen one that's so important is that the fact that they know that he's going to be a good guy meant that they could automatically trust him in a way that they didn't feel they could really trust anyone after Mandarin. It creates this really interesting dynamic early on like I talked about in the last episode. But yeah, that whole thread on episode 8 turned out really interesting, so you should go check it out, maybe add your thoughts to it, keep that conversation going. And as always, feel free to leave more comments in this comment section, and I'll choose some to talk about in the next video. See you guys in the next episode, God bless.